Sarah Ferguson just shattered the silence, revealing what royal insiders buried for years. With just one sentence, she exposed Meghan Markle's alleged promiscuous yacht past and its shocking ties to Prince Andrew. Now, Meghan's furious, her team's in panic, and Montecito is in meltdown. This is no rumor, it's war. Fergie's shocking comment that lit the fire. During what was meant to be a routine book interview in London, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, flipped the royal media script with just a few quiet, deadly words. The tone was light at first, nostalgic even, as she spoke about healing, reflection, and her long, complicated journey with the royal family. But everything shifted the moment the interviewer casually brought up Meghan Markle and her so-called modern influence on the monarchy. Fergie didn't laugh. She didn't nod politely. She froze. Then came a pause that felt loaded with decades of behind-the-scenes royal memory. Slowly, with that classic smirk that royal watchers know too well, she tilted her head and said, "Oh, Meghan, she's not the first young woman fascinated by royal life. I remember a certain yacht summer." It was cryptic. It was sharp. But the next line? That was the one that cracked open the royal silence like a hammer through glass. Some of those faces ended up in Buckingham Palace. That quote didn't just land, it detonated. Within 12 hours, the hashtag Fergie said it was trending across TikTok, Twitter, and all the way to the front pages of Sydney, Toronto, and New York. Even global outlets that typically steer clear of palace drama couldn't ignore it. Royal reporters rushed to dig into the archives. Editors scrambled to reassign teams, newsrooms lit up with chatter. Was this about Meghan? Was it a dig? Or worse, was it a confirmation of every old rumor? Suddenly, long-forgotten clips of Meghan's pre-Harry days began making rounds. Paparazzi shots, fashion blogs, red carpet photos, even obscure yacht party guest lists from 2005 to 2012 were being pulled out of the internet's vault. Some online sleuths found snippets from forums, now defunct gossip sites, and blurry images from Mediterranean summer events that once barely made a whisper, now getting viewed by millions. And while Fergie never explicitly named Meghan, she didn't have to. That's what made it so brutal. Her comment left no fingerprints but left behind a fully visible trail. The subtext was screaming. Meghan's name was all over it, whether it was said or not. The public didn't need help connecting the dots. Fergie knew exactly what she was doing and who would feel it. From that moment, the interview stopped being about promoting a book. It became a global scandal with Meghan at the center. The story had turned, it was no longer about royal protocol or post-divorce reinvention. It had become a tale of one duchess's quiet revenge, another's shattered past, and a royal family once again watching its secrets rise to the surface. But what made this moment even more dangerous was that it wasn't a slip of the tongue. It wasn't an accident. It was calculated, and it signaled the beginning of something much bigger. Because what Fergie unleashed wasn't just a headline. It was a ghost Meghan had spent years and millions in PR trying to bury. And now, that ghost was walking again. And next, the whispers turned into receipts. The yacht rumors. Meghan could never bury. As soon as Fergie's line about a certain yacht summer hit the airwaves, the internet exploded into action. What started as a vague passing remark quickly turned into a full-scale digital investigation. In a matter of minutes, online sleuths, many of them longtime royal watchers, began digging through archives, gossip blogs, and buried paparazzi galleries to uncover the rumors Meghan Markle thought were long gone. These weren't just vacation snapshots. The stories that resurfaced painted a very different picture of Meghan's early days. Not as a struggling actress, but as a young woman navigating elite social circles far from Hollywood's red carpets. Rumors that she had been spotted at private yacht events between 2006 and 2012, held in glittering waters off the coasts of Greece, Monaco, and the French Riviera, came flooding back. These yacht parties weren't casual social gatherings. They were ultra-exclusive affairs, hosted by billionaire power brokers, European royals, and old money dynasties' hand-picked guests, usually models, actresses, and up-and-comers in the entertainment world, were flown in to entertain, network, or charm high-profile guests. Some of those guests, according to archived reports, included names like Prince Andrew, along with controversial international businessmen now under investigation in multiple countries. The timing of Fergie's comment couldn't have been more devastating. Coming from the ex-wife of Prince Andrew herself, it wasn't just a sly remark, it was a precision strike. She knew the implications. She knew what the internet would do with it. And within 24 hours, it was everywhere. Grainy photographs that had disappeared from the public eye started reappearing. A young Meghan, reclining on yacht decks in designer bikinis, sipping champagne, surrounded by an anonymous group of wealthy men and glamorous women. Blogs that had been scrubbed clean years ago were suddenly recovered through archive tools like the Wayback Machine. Old gossip forums, many dismissed as conspiracy hubs at the time, were now being picked up by mainstream media as potential sources of leads. And while no formal proof has ever linked Meghan directly to Prince Andrew or any criminal activity, in the world of reputation management, truth often plays second to perception. Fergie didn't need to make an accusation. She simply dropped the match and let the world build the fire. One PR analyst commented to a UK outlet, "It's the power of suggestion. She never said Meghan was there with Andrew. She didn't need to. The internet will do the rest, and it's already started." By the next morning, entertainment media had dubbed it the Yacht Girl Theory 2.0, a phrase Meghan's legal and media teams had spent years trying to erase from public conversation. That label alone was enough to shake her image. This wasn't just a tabloid hiccup. This was a brand crisis in real time. Meghan had spent years building an image of grace, activism, and modern royalty. But now, a past she worked so hard to hide had been yanked back into the light. And worse, it was outside her control. She couldn't delete the forums. She couldn't scrub the archives fast enough. She couldn't issue enough denials to fight the headlines now spreading like wildfire across the globe. What was once a whispered rumor had become a trending topic. And in Montecito, her carefully curated world of quiet luxury and control began to crack. Because now, the past wasn't just following Meghan, it was chasing her. And inside those walls, a storm was brewing. Montecito meltdown. Meghan's furious reaction. Back in Montecito, Meghan's calm, polished image shattered behind closed doors. According to insiders, when she first saw Fergie's quote circulating online, she snapped. One witness claimed she stormed into her private office, phone in hand, yelling, "She's trying to erase me. This is war." Her team immediately triggered full crisis mode. PR strategists, digital scrubbing agencies, and lawyers were pulled into emergency calls. Old photos were flagged. Blog posts were taken down. Search engine results were mass reported. The goal was clear: bury the story fast. But it was already too late. The hashtag Fergie said it had reached over 2 million mentions in under 24 hours. Meghan's fury wasn't just professional, it was personal. She felt betrayed. In private, she allegedly accused Fergie of being jealous and still bitter over how Meghan had, in her words, outshined some of the old royal guard. She was also stunned that no one from the royal family had publicly defended her, especially Prince Harry's cousin Eugenie, Fergie's daughter, someone Meghan had once considered a friend. What fueled the fire even more was Meghan's decision to go silent publicly. Her Instagram stayed dark. Her lifestyle brand archetypes paused content, and no official statement was released. That silence, intended to appear controlled, only sparked more questions. Was she shaken? Was she hiding? One insider summed it up. This wasn't just another rumor. This hit the core of the image she built. But as Meghan plotted her next move, she had no idea that Fergie wasn't done yet. Fergie doubles down and refuses to backtrack. Just one day after the firestorm erupted, Fergie was seen outside Claridge's hotel in London, smiling for cameras like nothing had happened. A reporter shouted, "Fergie, what did you mean about Meghan and the yacht summer?" Her response? "Oh, darling, every fairy tale starts somewhere." With that single quote, she poured gasoline on the blaze. Fergie didn't flinch, didn't clarify, and most importantly, didn't deny. The message was clear. She had said what she meant, and she wasn't backing down. Mainstream media latched onto her defiance. Several outlets praised her as the royal whistleblower the public didn't know it needed. Social media dubbed her the Duchess with receipts. And whispers began to spread that Fergie had more stories that could go deeper into the pre-royal lives of certain duchesses. Royal insiders said the palace was caught off guard. Though Sarah Ferguson hasn't held formal duties in years, her words still carry weight, especially among longtime royal fans. One aide reportedly told the press, "She speaks like an outsider, but she knows all the inside dirt." Meanwhile, Meghan's team was stunned. They expected some retreat, some quiet apology, maybe a clarification to cool the storm. Instead, they were met with a smirk and a loaded metaphor. And as the world kept watching, it became clear. Fergie had just opened the door to something Meghan had worked her whole life to keep closed. And what came next would drag in a name far more dangerous: Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew's name, a PR nuclear tear bomb. If Fergie's yacht comment was the match, Prince Andrew's name was the explosion. As soon as speculation tied Meghan's alleged yacht circle to Andrew's past, everything escalated into dangerous territory. You don't have to be formally connected to Jeffrey Epstein to feel the fallout. Being even adjacent to Andrew's social world is enough to detonate your reputation. Hollywood's top PR firms reportedly began scrambling. One insider said, "If her name appears next to his in any context, even fictionally, it's a branding nightmare." It didn't help that photos of Andrew attending yacht parties in 2001 and 2002 were already part of internet archives. Combine that with resurfaced images of young Meghan on similar vessels from the same time frame, and it was open season for speculation. Of course, no evidence directly links Meghan to Andrew socially. Her team has consistently denied she ever met him before marrying Harry. But in public relations, perception can be far more damaging than truth. And this time, the optics were lethal. The idea that Fergie, Andrew's ex-wife and lifelong ally, dropped a yacht comment with no awareness of how that would sound, that was impossible to believe. Adding to the chaos, Meghan's lawyers began issuing soft denials through sources close to the Duchess. They labeled the rumors as misogynistic, classist, and deliberately cruel. calling it an attempt to destroy a successful woman by digging up her past. But critics weren't buying it. Even within the palace, the timing couldn't have been worse. One royal insider was quoted saying, "The king is focused on unity. This just blew the lid off a chapter we were desperate to keep closed." Because if Andrew's shadow is cast even slightly over Meghan's past, even just socially, then the royal family risks two public relations disasters colliding into one. And right in the middle, Fergie, who, by refusing to retract anything, made one thing perfectly clear. She knew what she was doing. But while Meghan tried to distance herself from Andrew, the real war was just beginning. Not over scandal, but old revenge. The real reason Fergie might be striking now. For those inside royal circles, Fergie's attack on Meghan didn't come out of nowhere. It was years in the making. Long before book tours and yacht comments, tensions had been quietly brewing between the Duchess of York and the Duchess of Sussex. It all allegedly came to a head at Princess Eugenie's wedding in October 2018. That's when Meghan, already pregnant with Archie, chose that day to announce the news to the family, stealing the spotlight from Fergie's daughter. One insider said, "It was supposed to be Eugenie's moment. Fergie never forgave her for hijacking it." Sources now say Fergie felt publicly disrespected by Meghan on multiple occasions, from allegedly dismissing her advice to failing to acknowledge her at events. One family friend put it bluntly, "Fergie felt like Meghan treated her like staff." And if there's one thing Sarah Ferguson never forgot, it was a snub, especially from someone who hadn't yet earned her place. Behind the scenes, Fergie reportedly told friends that Meghan acted like royalty before becoming one, using the title, the fame, and the platform without putting in the years. That rubbed not just Fergie, but older royal relatives the wrong way. To them, Meghan was always Hollywood first, duty second. So when the chance came to remind the world of Meghan's pre-Harry history, even indirectly, Fergie took it, and she took it with a smile. This wasn't just gossip. It was a calculated strike, dressed in polite phrasing, veiled in charm, but sharp enough to draw blood. And make no mistake, Meghan knew exactly what was happening. She reportedly told a close friend, "She's not just jealous, she's vindictive." But now that the war was public, it wasn't just about two women and old wounds. It was about alliances. And while Meghan's ties to the Windsors were falling apart, Fergie's loyalty to the crown had never been stronger. And next, the internet would do what it does best: dig into Meghan's past with sharper claws than ever before. Internet sleuths dig deep. The receipts return. Once Fergie's yacht comment hit social media, the online detectives didn't waste a second. In just 48 hours, hashtags like #YachtGirlTheory, #Irish, Fergie said it, and #MeghanFiles took over Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. People began posting side-by-side images, resurfaced old yacht photos, and blurry screenshots from 2006 to 2012 that had been forgotten until now. Some of the most viral threads came from users who had archived blogs and social pages from Meghan's pre-royal life. These weren't new rumors. They were old ones the public had moved past, or in some cases, never saw. But now, they were everywhere. Meghan at industry parties, Meghan on boats, Meghan with rich Middle Eastern businessmen, and in the background of one grainy photo, a man who looked just enough like Prince Andrew to send the comment sections into overdrive. None of it was definitive, but it didn't matter. In the digital world, perception is king, and Meghan's silence only added fuel. Her team stayed quiet. Her official Instagram hadn't posted in 4 days. Archewell went completely dark. No quotes, no rebuttals, nothing. One fan account even noticed that multiple search results and photos were being quietly scrubbed from Google using takedown requests. It made it worse. People assumed there must be something worth hiding. Even her most loyal supporters online were now asking, if this is just a rumor, why is her team trying so hard to erase it? The damage to her brand was already unfolding. Brands began pausing partnerships. Influencer accounts that once celebrated Meghan now treaded carefully. And industry insiders said out loud what many had only whispered. The internet doesn't forget, and this time, it's coming for Meghan. Still, Meghan wasn't staying down. While the forums hunted for yacht receipts, she was already crafting her comeback. Meghan's crisis response, reclaiming her story. Behind the walls of Montecito, Meghan was far from defeated. According to insiders, she launched a crisis war room with her top PR advisors, strategists, and a few well-connected allies in Hollywood and Silicon Valley. The mission? Take back control of the story fast. Her team quickly pitched a bold new project, a streaming special. It would be raw, emotional, and deeply personal. A documentary meets interview event tentatively titled My Truth, My Voice, aimed at flipping the narrative. She wasn't running from the whispers. She was facing them head-on. Streaming executives were approached with outlines promising a never-before-seen look at Meghan's life before royalty. One source revealed, "It's her way of saying, you want the truth? I'll give it to you. But on my terms." But this wasn't just about the past. Meghan also made a public appearance. Fast. Within 3 days of Fergie's comment, she was photographed leaving a women's leadership brunch in Los Angeles, wearing a sleek cream monochrome outfit, smiling as if nothing had happened. The message was clear. She was calm, controlled, unbothered. Insiders said it was all perfectly timed. Photos were leaked to the right outlets. Quotes about resilience and not letting gossip win were shared with select journalists. Meghan was reclaiming her narrative through performance, not press releases. But while she prepared to go public, Buckingham Palace was growing restless. This wasn't just a celebrity spat anymore. Fergie's words had opened a wound the crown didn't want reopened, and the king was reportedly not amused. And next, the palace would make its presence known, quietly, but with force. The crown reacts. Quiet fury at the palace. While Meghan strategized in Montecito, the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace was anything but relaxed. According to insiders, King Charles was furious, not just about the chaos unfolding in the press, but because it was now dragging the monarchy into a scandal they had been trying to bury for years. Behind closed doors, palace officials referred to Fergie's comment as a reckless outburst that threatened to undo months of internal planning to stabilize the family's public image. One royal aide was quoted saying, "It was a fire we had already buried, and she just kicked open the grave." The king had recently pushed for unity and discretion as he focused on health concerns, public appearances, and Charles's plan to slim down the monarchy. Fergie's timing, intentional or not, caused a media eruption that pulled the focus back to Andrew, Meghan, and the rot many believed the palace wanted to keep hidden. Even Prince William was reportedly disappointed that Fergie, a royal veteran, would ignite a public feud during such a sensitive moment for the crown. Meghan's name trending alongside Andrew's was a worst-case scenario, and staff scrambled to redirect the narrative. But they couldn't silence Fergie. She didn't hold official royal duties and wasn't under palace control. That made her words even more dangerous. The firm could neither defend her nor deny her. She was a rogue duchess with nothing to lose, and that made her lethal. Meanwhile, the palace began preparing its containment strategy. No public statements, no acknowledgements, only behind-the-scenes damage control, including quiet conversations with loyal journalists and subtle reminders to steer headlines back to royal duty. But as the crown tried to repair the damage, the world was watching two duchesses go to war. And the lines were clearly drawn. Meghan, armed with media. Fergie, armed with memory. And in the public eye, one final question hovered. Would this battle end with silence or complete exposure? Duchess versus Duchess. The battle isn't over. By the end of the week, the headlines had stopped being about Andrew. The story had shifted, and now it was Meghan versus Fergie, two women with very different styles, but a shared history inside the royal machine. Fergie appeared on a daytime talk show with a soft smile and a sharper tongue. When asked about royal newcomers, she simply said, "Some people want the crown before they understand the weight." No name mentioned, but the audience roared. Meanwhile, Meghan was fighting to steer public sentiment back in her favor. Her team released subtle stories through American outlets, emphasizing her role as a devoted mother, humanitarian, and a woman constantly under attack. But the response was divided. On Twitter, #TeamFergie trended for over 48 hours. Many users, even those once sympathetic to Meghan, began posting side-by-side comparisons. Fergie laughing on TV versus Meghan looking tense at a charity gala. One royal watcher posted, "One plays the game, the other tries to rewrite it." Former royal staff also began whispering to reporters. Little moments from the early days, Meghan allegedly ignoring protocols, skipping introductions, rolling her eyes at advice. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Meghan wasn't being hunted. She was being remembered. This wasn't just tabloid noise, it was a reputation war. Fergie, once dismissed by the royals herself, had found a second wind. Meghan, once the face of modern royalty, was now seen by some as Hollywood royalty losing grip. One insider put it best. "This is what happens when two duchesses collide. And only one still knows how to play the royal game." And while the headlines may die down, the consequences won't. Because in this battle, the past wasn't just revealed. It was unleashed. Fergie's words lit a fuse that exploded Meghan's carefully controlled image. What started as whispers are now global headlines. With Andrew's name in the mix, the stakes have never been higher. And as Meghan scrambles to save face, one thing's clear. This scandal has only just begun. The past, one to say buried,